This is the second episode of making the little aluminium die to make these in aluminium. Now I'm going to make a twin cavity die, as we'll see shortly, but as a quick reminder, this is a die made the same way but for a totally different part, and this is the bit we're going to make today. Plus we're also going to make just two blocks like this which form the top part of the die. The idea is that the die starts in that sort of, whoops-a-daisy, not easy to hold, in that sort of position, and you pour the metal into here, and then the machine it's in slowly tilts it back so that the metal is emptied out of this basin into the die. That's a process called tilt casting, and if done well, it produces a very, very good casting. I've already made the basin that's going to go on it. It's a twin basin because I will have two little cavities in the die and I don't want them connected. This is made out of a ceramic board, very light, very insulating. It should be very good for the job. This is the setup we're going to use. Ooh, heavy, heavy. There are the two of the bronze masters we made in episode 1. They're now firmly bolted to this steel plate, and I'll now make up a sand mould in this box that will have that cavity in it. Basically, that will sit more or less about there, and I will cast that in aluminium in a piston alloy so that it'll have some better temperature resistance, and then we will simply sit that over the top and pour the metal in, and we should have a very simple short life die, I hope. First thing I'll do is wet the bench down because it's very dry masonite, and it will absorb water out of the sand if I don't pre-wet it. Okay, get a baseboard to work with. There. Start with half the box for the moment. Now I've got little marks on the box here at either end to coincide more or less with the little white marks on the pattern here, because it's all a bit of a tight squeeze, very tight squeeze. All right, that should do that. Get some moulding tools. I don't need a good finish here, but I will use a bit of facing sand because it's a bit stronger and it'll give me a better edge on the mould. I think that's about all I'll need of that. But I will need quite a lot of the normal backup sand, sieved quite a lot. Probably get away with a little bit unsieved over one side. Now I need a sprue for this job, and it wants to be right down about there. Okay, see if we can get something rammed up here. I'll just poke it with my fingers first to firm the sand a little to try and stop that pattern moving around in the box. as I ram it for real. Quite thin, those edges in there, so I'll bang them down quite hard to make certain I've got them right. Alright, now where's the centre of this, and we'll put the feeder on. A large feeder. Just that little hole. There we go. This stage, I think we'll put the other box half on. Right. Oh, come on, feeder, wobble out. Okay, and the sprue, just gently twist and pull that. Right. Man, that's one hell of a feeder. Now we'll cut a pouring basin. There we go. I might just put a little bit of part down there to neaten it up a little so it stays a bit neater. Right, now connect the sprue in the basin. Leaving the usual little ridge between the two of them. Radius the sprue side of the ridge quite well, and the other side a little bit, doesn't have to be much. Just break the edge on the top and of the feeder as well. Now this is all a pretty large amount of metal. So I will put some vents in, and it's easier to put the vents in if you put the feeder former back. There's no problem of the vent wire breaking through and taking chunks out of the side of the feeder if the former is in there. Right, that should do that mould. Take the former out. Oh, rats, lost the edge a bit, but we'll survive. All I've got to do is invert this and get the pattern out. I might invert it onto a board, I think. Other thing I need to do, of course, is cut the gates, runner and gates. I think I'll put a fairly large gate up this end here, and another one here, a bit wider than that. Yep. And maybe a small one in the middle, not too big there, because it's going to get metal coming directly down the screw at it, and it'll tend to flow much more than the other ones out here. I could do with those a little smoother, I think. That's one. That looks a bit better. And just leave that gate there quite small. Smooth it all up. So I have no idea how this is going to work, but I guess we'll find out. Okay. I think maybe I'll have to drill a bit of a start hole there. One end loose, other end loose. Maybe that'll do it. Wood screw to pull it out by. Still a bit tight. Boy, is that tight. It's very tight actually. Might get some steel to give me some guidance. Slide it up against the bits of steel. Right, now clean the edges up on the gates. And clean up the riser feeder rather connection. Well, I don't think it has the gold medal for the world's prettiest mould, but we'll be right. I'll sit this on a bigger board like this, with these two bits of steel there, and the thing will sit on the bits of steel the correct way up. Bits of steel the right distance apart. Nearly. Yes, they are. Okay. Now I'll sit that on the next to the baseboard that everything's going to be, that it'll be placed on where everything's hot and sprayed up correctly. Just got to do two of these now, and I might drill the little holes in there first this time. Might be a novel idea. Where are the boxes? Here. Right, we're just about ready to go here. I'll be lighting the furnace in a minute or two. Here is the two bronze masters that I'll be casting the die itself over. Here is the steel plate against which the blocks that form the top half of the die will be cast against. This plate has been heated to about 200 centigrade just to make certain there's no moisture or anything on it. And I'll now just let it cool down and while the metal's melting, and I will simply put the sand mould on top of that and pour immediately when the time comes. This one, I will heat it up with this gas torch here, and then when it gets hot enough, I will spray the whole thing with a couple of different dye sprays. The first one, a fine coat of an insulator, and then a coat over the top of that of the lubricating spray. And I will keep it hot with the torch, and I will put the sand mould on and pour it while it's still very hot. And that way I should get a pretty faithful impression of these in the die. So I'll just get things lit up, and so it's about to get a bit noisy, and then the fun will begin. The metal's now degassing, so it's time I sprayed this particular little beast up. I'll just get a bit of steel wool first. Put a glove on and give it a little bit of a quick scrub up. Just point that to one side for the moment. Now this plate is at around 230 centigrade, something of that order. Okay, rats, I want that back there, and I want that sitting back there. Now we'll spray the dye. Just a little bit, that's probably not too bad. This is a commercial dye spray, 14ESS it's called, and it's made by Piston. That's not too bad for that one. Now this is again a commercial spray, but it's a lubricating one. It's based on boron nitride. It's made by a crowd called ZYP Coatings. It's called Release Coat Blue. And like anything made out of boron nitride, it is rather expensive, but it's a very good high temperature lubricant. Fair bit of that on there. Okay, that should do it, I hope. Put the torch back on to keep it warm. Right, that's 4 minutes of degassing done. I want 6 or 7, probably 7, I guess. That plate's cold enough anyway. I'll now put this mould half on here. That looks pretty good. That's fine. Some weights to hold it down. Quite a bit of weight. Because there's going to be quite a bit of metal going in this. Get that one out there a bit more, I think, so I can get at the basin. Back there. Yeah, that'll do. Whoa, heavy, heavy, heavy. All right, off with the gas flame. On with the mould half. Hoi. Pretty good, I think. Not quite. There. Okay. Weights behind you. Getting a bit hot in the legs. Oh, gee, that's hot. Go for it. Up, 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 up. Boy, that bigger screw takes the metal quicker. Or not bigger, it's higher. Hole. Next. Up. This is a smaller screw, so maybe it'll be a bit better behaved. Still taking it pretty quick. Down on the brick, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, we might need a bit more than that. Whoa, gee, they're heavy. Oh, screw, that's hot too. No, just the lead ones at the moment. Leave the steel. Might be a bit... Oh, they're alright. Leave the steel at the moment. It's still pretty liquid in there. Guess we can turn this off now. This is the first of the smaller blocks, and you can see how much shrinkage has occurred here, remembering that that metal was full almost to the very top. That's typical of these piston alloys. They tend to freeze with a big central pipe, and it's quite a massive pipe. I'll now knock this out over here on the knockout bench. Sounds good. Okay, a little rough on the bottom because I didn't put any powder on, but that's got to be machined anyway, so that's not a problem. The other one's better. And we'll see. So that's one. Now, I guess we'll just put that somewhere to cool. Again, you can see the massive amount of shrinkage. That was full, virtually right up to the top. And there's a great big pipe running right down inside there. Now this one, the plate and the formers that I cast around will stay in until I pull them out later because the metal shrunk onto them, but just for the moment we'll knock the sand out. What have we got? That's not too shabby. That is a very nice looking pair of cavities there. They will do very, very nicely indeed. Just a quick sand across the top to clean the bump off. Wonderful, I'm very happy with that. It'll make a lovely little die. Lovely indeed. Right, let's get the second of the big blocks and see what it looks like. Again, look at the massive, massive amount of central shrinkage that happens. I mean, that's down, well, I can see down close to 1.5 inches that metal has shrunk down in there. I'll knock it out on the knockout bench. What have we got? Oh yeah, that looks all right. It's got to be cleaned up, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Bit of loose sand in there, it'll be right. Won't be too bad. Yep. Yes, I think that'll give me what I want. Yeah, not too bad. That'll be fine.